With home service businesses, you have a little bit more flexibility because your margins are a little bit higher on the service side. But when it comes to the construction side, sometimes your margins are razor thin.
Yes.
And maybe not razor thin, but a lot thinner than they are. You're operating at maybe a 20% gross versus a 40% gross profit.
Yeah,
and so all of a sudden you have less room for mistakes. And construction jobs, if, you're overspending on materials, you don't have your foreman keeping track of your labor hours and keeping everyone on track, payroll, excess materials, waste, all those things are what can really kill your profits at the end of the day.
Yeah. I do see people getting caught up in this whole sort of Instagram, TikTok market where they feel like, they need to be on that and they need to be sharing videos and they need to be sort of, out there and getting their name out there. But like, if you're good at your job, generally in construction, you shouldn't really have a problem with attracting new leads. Hi everybody, Gavin Coyle, I'm the Gaffer, back with another brilliant guest on the podcast today. It's Daniel Bamper, and Daniel is founder of Black Belt Ledgers, fractional CFO for contractors, tradesmen and home service businesses. He's also a profit coach and he's got an expertise in martial arts, and we'll see where that crosses over into the world of business. I'm sure he'll have some interesting takes on that. So what I want you to think about today is your financial director, financial manager, financial controller. And I hear you already talking into the microphone or into the phone or into the radio and saying, I don't have any of that. Well, that's why you might need someone like Daniel Bamper, because he provides a financial director model into your business, so you don't have to employ somebody full-time, hence a fractional CFO. We'll get in under that as well. We use it ourselves. It's a great model. If you're not fully sure in terms of, maybe you might be scared in taking on somebody full-time because, it's a big commitment in terms of wage structure. And if you get it wrong, it could go terribly wrong. So why not go with a model that's proven and tested, and you can talk to other people that have used similar services and how they've got on. Or if you've never heard of this particular model, you'll sit back and enjoy it, because it will give you a really good insight into the main focuses within your financial structure. And if you struggle with the finances, which some or a lot of you do, all the more reason why you need a Daniel Bamper on your side. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Gavin. I'm excited about this one.
You're in Oklahoma, pal. Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's center of the Midwest.
Cool.
Big fan.
I would have said happy St. Paddy's Day, but we're the day after St. Paddy's Day in the recording of this. Tell me, how did you get involved with the construction sector, your personal story?
So originally, I didn't have a start in the construction sector. You mentioned that I have a martial arts background, and that's true. I got my start in business about 11 years ago with my martial arts school.
Very good.
The one thing that we found really frustrating is that our CPA and our accountants, our bookkeepers, they never really did more than send us the reports and file our taxes at the end of the year. We would ask questions. We would say how, or even just ask, how do we use our finances to guide our next steps? And it was really frustrating that we never got an answer aside from it's all there in the reports and pay more taxes. So none of these things are really great if you think about it from a business ownership perspective. And so I learned how to go do all that for myself. Took some classes, read some textbooks, and made it all happen to the point where I ended up opening a side hustle just as a bookkeeper. And my first couple of clients were in the construction industry. One was a restoration company that did reconstruction. The other was an HVAC company that focused a lot on the construction side. And I do their books, clean them up, get them ready to go. And when they would say, what do I need to know about these reports? I would sit down and say, well, I think your cost of materials is a little high. Your marketing expense is really low. Are you starting to see some of these things inside of your business? Is cash flow feeling tight? And they went, holy, how did you know all of that?
Yeah.
Right?
I can see that.
Yeah. And from there, I just started asking more questions and digging into it and picking picking apart their processes, their operations, their systems. And it came down to, hey, we're actually doing a whole on like advisory offer now. It's not just doing the books, it's helping them with strategy. It's helping them with cash flow. It's helping them with team management even. And between all of these three things, we started seeing some insane results. I helped my HVAC client lower his tax bill by $80,000 because he had the information ahead of time and understood what it meant. And we knew enough to send him to a tax pro and say, hey, throughout the year, help us manage this.
Yes.
With my restoration client, we got him crystal clear on how many jobs he had to close every week to hit his goals. And when we took the finance side out of it and said, no, just go close 7 jobs a week, make sure they're all about this price range, and you'll get exactly where you want to be. And he kind of gamified it from there. He took it in to say, well, what if I do 10 this week? What if I do 11 this week? Yeah. And before we knew it, at the end of the year, he tripled his revenue.
Yeah. I totally resonate with that story in terms of we just don't probably spend enough time on the numbers in the small to medium enterprise sector. It's interesting to hear when you come in from a sort of a fresh pair of eyes look, how you can kind of see that it's an obvious thing, but it's not that obvious to the business owner.
It is. And the thing that I always find a little frustrating, because I remember being this business owner and still find myself being this business owner as my martial arts school continues to grow and we get new problems. It's frustrating when sometimes you feel like you have to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Or especially, I was lucky enough to have a couple of business partners and a team to lean on as we've grown over the years. But, some of these guys, when they start, they're starting with just them and their truck, and they're driving around to all these different sites, these different homes. They're just getting the work done, and all they're focused on is getting the work done. And there's that hustle mentality.
Yeah.
And when they get to the point where it's like, man, I need to bring on a second guy or a helper, they bring somebody on, train them up. Now they have two crews, and they kind of rinse and repeat that process to get 3. And next thing you know, they're doing $2 million a year in business, operating like they're 3 guys in 3 trucks. It's like, no, we got to restructure a little bit because your business ain't the same anymore. The same solutions that got you here aren't the solutions that get you to the next phase.
And I'm interested to find out, have the clients been recommending you then to other clients? Say, hey, look, we've used Dan and he's done this for us. Maybe you should give him a call.
We're getting there. And the one thing that my clients are always concerned about is like, well, I love recommending you and helping. I also want to make sure you don't forget about me because you're kind of essential to what we do. Yeah. I'm like, don't worry, I'm always going to have time for you. Especially with some of my first clients that really helped me get off the ground.
Yeah, and I noticed that as well. There seems the kinds of it's not that they don't want other people to succeed. It's just this kind of
protect themselves a little bit.
Yeah, they get so used to having you on speed dial if there's an issue. Because hey, I'm thinking about buying a truck or a van. Well, we didn't include that in the strategy. So where's this after coming out of it? Well, you wouldn't believe, I've just looked at an advertisement and there's this van and it's €2,000 cheaper, $2,000 cheaper than the nearest van. And I'm totally in sales mode. And Dan's going, no, it's not happening, pal. It's not happening.
That's it.
It's not the strategy.
I'm like, well, and usually, they say, well, what can make it a yes? And then I say, we can make it a yes if you do an extra 15 jobs this month and consistently hit that new target. Can you make 15 new jobs happen this month? And sometimes they say yes, and they do.
Yeah.
And it's because they've dialed in, they figured out, hey, I need 15 new jobs. I need this many more clients, estimates, and leads. My leads cost this much money. Let's pump this much money into advertising. And all of a sudden, like when they have that clarity and true understanding of their numbers, they understand how their business can become a money printing machine.
Well, you bring up an interesting topic there, which is the marketing side of things. And a lot of the guys do struggle with the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't get jobs, because there's probably more work out there than there is people. But the right jobs and in the right area, doing the right thing and not being asked to do some stupid stuff. Do you have a model in mind in terms of percentage turnover or revenue versus marketing spend?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Usually, the first thing that I tell my clients is you have to know 3, maybe 4 numbers for your marketing to see if you need to get a new marketing company or not. Because usually a lot of these guys will bring somebody in-house or outsource it. And the first thing that I always tell them is, how much does it cost you to get a lead?
Yeah.
How much does it cost? And of those leads, how many of them turn into estimates?
Yeah.
And when those estimates come into play, how many of them convert over into clients? And by the time everything is said and done, then how much is it costing you to get a new client? And so we call it cost per lead, client acquisition cost.
Yeah.
And the last one is return on ad spend, or return on marketing spend is sometimes even a broader term that I like to include to show how well the marketing machine as a whole is working for them.
Yeah. And the unfortunate part of that model is that the marketing companies tend to tell you, well, it's going to take you 3 to 4 months before we start seeing some real figures coming across the table here.
The other thing that absolutely drives me bonkers with marketing agencies, and I'm not slamming on our marketing friends here because I understand they have their own defined scopes, kind of where their influence ends and where the business has to pick it up. And that, so I'm going to say this with that in mind.
Yeah.
The thing I find frustrating is that marketing agencies often give you results in terms of like impressions and analytics and how many people saw you, not how many people called you and said, I need your help.
Yeah, no. I only had this conversation recently with somebody, and they were so enthusiastic about the fact that they had a couple of thousand views on something. But like, which would you rather have? Like, 20,000 views and very little phone calls or no phone calls, or 1,000 views and 10 phone calls or 50 phone calls or something like that.
Exactly.
There is this push to say, well, if you're getting views, you're getting eyes on the prize. But like, a lot of people are, right, let's just throw it out there. There's tire kickers that will just watch stuff for the sake of watching stuff. So like, where's the actual buyer? And I don't think the marketing companies probably, there's a lot of them don't do enough for the buyer persona, and no one knows the business like you.
That's it. And it just comes down to, look, if you're finding, especially with like home service business, right? They are kind of bound to a local area, for lack of a better word. They're bound to some radius of operations.
Yeah.
And usually, within a city, you've got, neighborhoods that are more affluent. You've got neighborhoods that are less affluent. And when you show up, you don't always want to have to feel like you're fighting for every single job.
Yeah.
Especially because the people, my observation, empirically speaking, is lower income neighborhoods they're more concerned about what the price is, and so they will price shop and make that happen. And that's nothing on them, because that they're doing what makes sense for them.
There's also sorry to cut across you, Dan, but
good.
There's also a argument that you might not need marketing at all because you're just so good at what you do. You don't need that pipeline.
Exactly. And marketing doesn't just come in the form of advertising. Marketing comes in the form of networking. Marketing comes in the form of referrals. Marketing comes in the form of, organic Google traffic.
Yeah.
And figure out the one that works for you. I have some guys that are only word of mouth, and they're doing $2 million a year. I have a security company here in Oklahoma City that's like that.
Yeah.
I have a roofer who operates solely out of networking and, organic traffic. But I have an HVAC company that relies solely on ads, and that's the thing that kills it for them in their market.
Yeah, no, fair point. What about automation? Where do you look? Obviously the buzzword is AI at the moment and stuff like that. But you must be walking into a lot of places going, "How the hell are you operating without,
right,
CRM system? Finance, even like in this day and age, still people are not using sort of online accounting tools and stuff like that."
I had a client tell me, I usually just keep everything in a box and give it to my CPA. And I go, okay, one of two things are going to happen. We're going to adapt you to an online accounting system, or you're not my client. And that's because as your business grows, right? When you cross that 7-figure threshold, you can't run on data that's once a month from your tax returns and say, okay, this is how well my business is doing. You need to be looking at your numbers every week and make sure that your margins are staying in control.
Yeah.
With home service businesses, you have a little bit more flexibility because your margins are a little bit higher on the service side. But when it comes to the construction side, sometimes your margins are razor thin.
Yes.
And maybe not razor thin, but a lot thinner than they are. You're operating at maybe a 20% gross versus a 40% gross profit.
Yeah,
and so all of a sudden you have less room for mistakes. And construction jobs, if, you're overspending on materials, you don't have your foreman keeping track of your labor hours and keeping everyone on track, payroll, excess materials, waste, all those things are what can really kill your profits at the end of the day.
Yeah. I do see people getting caught up in this whole sort of Instagram, TikTok market where they feel like, they need to be on that and they need to be sharing videos and they need to be sort of, out there and getting their name out there. But like, if you're good at your job, generally in construction, you shouldn't really have a problem with attracting new leads.
That's it. Because honestly, GCs talk to each other. And when it comes, they're like, hey, you need an HVAC guy? I've got a great one that just finished a job for me. He was a breeze to work with. Or, man, this plumber was just fantastic.
Yeah. No, I love that. So we've talked about, so in terms of the automation,
yes,
your finance is obviously you want the accounting software, and I have to say, my own company, we're moving software this year. Thanks, I'm so glad that we're moving software. I'm not going to mention the name of the other accounting software, but let's just say there's old school software out there and there's new school software out there, and the new school is so more easy to use, more flexible, more practical in terms of use, easy to use. Everybody can see all the figures that are, clear and needed for the business in one dashboard, and it doesn't, and the cost has come down greatly in your area, haven't it, for software?
It really has. There's some where I've been able to, get some lower end of my clients, who are still kind of in the initial growth phases.
Yeah.
I can get them accounting software for $10 a month or less. Like that is
wow.
That's a game changer for them, and it maybe comes up to 25 if they're going to use it as their main invoicing mechanism. Like you can't beat that.
And do you encourage them to, like, I know that HVAC is a particularly strong market for yourselves. Do you encourage them to have field software as well, along with the accounting software, or is that a stretch?
For my larger clients, yes, I do encourage them to have field software. But even, I call it field hardware or field paperware for some of my younger growth stage clients. If they're doing less than $1 million, you're still going to be on a paper packet. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with a paper packet. It works really well. And I love it because it shows you the logic that takes you all the way through the project start to finish. Whereas the software, sometimes it feels like, well, I got to put this in over here, this in over here, this in over here. And since you don't understand what the software is doing underneath, it makes it really hard to get a good grasp of what's going on with it or what those numbers mean that it spits out.
And the field software, from my experience, I don't know, like generally speaking, you want a champion looking after that field software for the business who makes sure all the inputs are correct. Bad information in, bad information out, and then you could be hurting the business rather than growing the business. But what I do see the advantage of is that if people are looking to maybe sell, and even if they're not going to sell the business later on down the road, that they have a list of all the serial numbers, all the clients, all the products that was issued, all the data is just sitting there rather than having to go back years and years and years and go, oh my God, If it's HVAC, it could be heat pumps or it could be air conditioning units, and you're not tracking that stuff.
And this is kind of a rabbit hole I've been digging myself down lately. Like, what does warranty side of things look like? And tracking all of that. This got me thinking because I've started picking up a couple roofers as clients lately, and I'm finding that they're going out and saying, well, yeah, you've got a 10-year warranty on your shingles. They're not accounting for any of those things that have to get replaced, materials, track vendor credits, and say, no, okay, vendor, you told me I have a 10-year warranty. Your material busted after 5.
Yeah. This is covered. We literally had somebody on the podcast recently who started talking about roofs as well, and this area of warranties. And it's a big problem. People are not tracking warranties. The installers are not tracking their warranties.
No, and so that does create some operational chaos. And if you do start tracking your warranty work, even just adding a simple 1 to 2% line item inside of your job costing system as a warranty piece, or as a warranty cost, is a great way to do that. And you can just create like a warranty checking account where hey, we're going to factor out 1 to 2% of this job cost, pop it over into a holding account. And that way, when warranty work has to be done, that's where we pay for it. And it doesn't have to disrupt our cash flow. or
Yeah.
we're more ready for it in the long run.
Hi guys, as you're enjoying this podcast, I just wanted to take a few seconds to let you know about my company, Coyle Group. We're not just another safety recruitment agency. We're your partners in building a safer future. With over 25 years of experience and more than 1 million hours of safety work completed, our mission is clear. Provide top-tier health and safety contractors tailored to the unique needs of your project. We also carry out on-site construction audits. From wind energy to power stations, utilities and engineering projects, our global reach and specialised expertise ensures your operations are not just compliant, but exemplary. For more information on how ensuring safety and sustainability of your products using our team of HSE contractors, visit coyle-group.com or click on the show notes or video description now. I've also put a booking link into the description for you to click and have a one-to-one conversation with me. Now, back to the podcast. Enjoy and see you soon.
He made a great comment too. You know, it's okay having the warranty, but the manufacturer of the product, whatever it is, might actually have a specification that you're only allowed to use approved vendors or approved contractors in order to carry out the warranty. And should you go in then and start saying, okay, well look, we'll try and fix it, thinking that you could just do a quick patch up job or something like that, and next thing the warranty's just invalidated.
That's it. And so, you know, the one thing the other part of that I tell my guys is usually like, hey, make sure you understand the contract language, have an attorney look at it for you, and walk you through an operational build. And that way you can make sure that you're going. If you're not on the, a qualified vendor with that manufacturer, follow the process to become that qualified vendor or that qualified, labor person. The other kind of interesting rabbit hole is that eventually, as your business continues to grow, you're going to hit a point where you're going to need to find a way to get rid of a large number of expenses or, kind of bring your total gross profits down by the end of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the last thing we want to do is say, great, I made, $10 million, 2 million of that is profit that I get to hold on to. But that's also $10 million or $2 million that you owe taxes on.
Yeah.
That's a big tax bill.
Yeah. Fair point.
And one of the new tax strategies that's out there is finding a way to monetize and categorize the risk connected to your warranty. And so if you start tracking, that 1% to 2% warranty cost or additional warranties that you buy on and listing them out as job list items, there's a strategy down the road that you can leverage. I think it's called reinsurance, or at least here in the States. It's not a captive insurance policy. So when you ask your CPA about it, just tell them it's not a captive, it's reinsurance, and they'll understand what you mean.
Interesting.
But that's kind of the new rabbit hole I've been going down to see how that works.
Can you leverage depreciation on warranties?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say after the warranty term, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The thing that makes that tricky is since you actually get cash for it as a service, you can do it one of two ways. You can do it as unearned income and do a revenue recognition every year where you can say, well, I got $500 for this 5-year warranty. I'm recognizing $100 of it each year.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Interesting.
And so there's a few ways to do it to help kind of stretch out and minimize that tax burden. But I'm finding that, warranties can be a really powerful thing inside of a contracting business.
Thinking about that was what struck me was, wow, it's nearly like a business within the business, the warranty side of things, that if you manage that correctly, you're basically putting yourself into a saving model, that you have this pot that's piling up that hopefully you don't have to use. But
exactly.
You know what I mean? If your quality is good and the product's good, you shouldn't have an issue. But it definitely, could make a massive difference. Would you calculate that on your profit and loss statement at the end of the year?
Yes. So the way that I recommend doing this is whenever you have a warranty come in, it's going to show up on the invoice.
Yeah.
and whatever that warranty is usually gets popped over to a balance sheet account first.
Yeah.
And that because, it's revenue or it's money you made without having to really work for it yet.
Yeah. There's no labor on it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you'll just take a percentage of that and move it from your holding account, that unearned revenue, and then you'll claim a little bit of it this year on your profit and loss. You'll claim a little bit of it next year on your profit and loss until you're out of it. And usually you'll create just like a standard, hey, it's a 5-year warranty. We're going to do 20% every year for 5 years.
Wow. Okay. Good thinking. I love it. Tell me about so are you going to get replaced by an AI bot?
That's a great question. And I don't think so, because the part of this is, one, having the right framework to follow.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is, money brings up a lot of baggage with everyone. And that's the one thing that AI can't work you through.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone on my own journey with my relationship with money, and I've seen a lot of progress myself in detaching emotionally from it, to starting to see it as a tool. So that's really all it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of the reason I love working in the contracting space especially is because they grew up in, really humble households like I did. There maybe wasn't a lot going around when you were a kid. You had a real scarcity mindset growing up. And business is the best way to break generational poverty, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And it's the fastest way to build wealth.
Yes. Yeah.
And so as you go and start to have more money in hand, you're going to find some of your old scarcity habits kicking in. And then all of a sudden, instead of paying a CPA $5,000 to save you $100,000 over the next 5 years, you're going to put $30,000 into a carpet bag and stash it out in a cabin in the rural part of the state. Not at all pointing at one of my clients.
Yeah, no, but I think the word efficiency is what where I see it. It's going to make you 80% more efficient, but you need 20% of the human behavioral dynamic.
Yes.
To put the right information in and to look at things from a strategic point of view. Like the AI is only as strategic as the person putting the information into it, and then
that's it.
There's
other
so many
part
other
of that,
factors.
Yeah, and going back to the prompting side of AI, like, don't get me wrong, I use it a lot. If there's, I get questions from folks all the time in like the restaurant industry. What should my margins look like? I don't know. I don't do restaurants, but I go ask AI, and it gives me a lot of information and context in language I understand and financial backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, you can't ask AI to help you know what you don't know. Yeah, we've come across a software in your sector called Live Switch. It's actually United States developed, and it basically, you would phone the client or the client would phone you, and sitting at your desktop, you basically just open up the camera, and then you can see everything that the client sees, and they're going through the whole job with you. And then as they're going through the whole job, as what their requirements are, AI is in the background taking measurements of everything, taking all the materials, taking it's doing the contract, it's doing risk assessments, meta statements, it's doing pricing for labor and materials. It's within $100 of it's within $100 of accuracy in terms of labor, time, and materials. It's amazing. That's insane.
Yeah, it is. Originally the software was used for the police. It was developed for the police. So when you dial the 999 or the 112, you go straight into this, because the software comes straight up. So the software is constantly just recording everything, the conversations, the scripts, doing the whole lot. So when the paramedics and the police are heading to the scene, they have a full picture of what's going on, and then obviously you have the history then afterwards. That's all recorded. So then he's just used that software into the construction sector. So
that's cool.
If I was a air conditioning guy, for example, and I went into a house, or didn't even have to go into the house, I could just send a link to the customer, say, okay, open up the link on your phone, and then the AI will actually problem solve the issue with the air conditioning unit as the client is telling.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it will generate the quote. Mary, our producer, if you put a demo link to Live Switch in the show notes, and we can send it to Daniel afterwards. But like, in terms of the wow bit for me, Daniel, was that allows you to focus on the customer more and the quality more. And
Yes.
it's not replacing anybody, but this thing of everybody meeting on site to have a huddle to discuss an air conditioning problem, and there's one person talking who's dominant, there's the customer, and everybody else is just standing there going, like, how often have we seen that? And it's like there's like a huddle over like a simple unit or whatever else, and it's not saying straight away that it would fix the unit, so it will tell, okay, do this and this, and then if that doesn't work, well then the AI will say, okay, well if it's not that, and of course it's taken it from the manual, it's taken from the troubleshooting that's already out there. It's not that it's designed specifically or whatever else. It's taking the information that's out there. But I suppose where I'm coming from on it is, wow, you've got the safety sorted, you've got the QS side of things kind of sorted, you've got the problem solving side of things sorted, you've got reduced travel and reduced time in terms of troubleshooting stuff, and maybe you don't have to go out at all. It solves all those issues. But exactly what you just said, jobs still have to be done. People still have to get into the van and go to the job, or into the truck and go to the job, and physically put stuff together. But then it allows you to focus on the quality of that.
That's it. And that also lets you show up differently.
Yeah.
Because when you show up, you're not showing up wearing 6 or 8 different hats. You're showing up wearing 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that means you have a lot more of you to focus on your clients.
Yeah.
And that's how I view it too.
Yeah.
Because it's not just before I was in what I'm doing now on the finance side, I was actually a chemistry teacher.
Okay.
So yeah. And it really is all about presentation and following up and making sure that it's not necessarily the content you're teaching, it's teaching it in a way that people receive it.
How can you create a model that can scale, and you don't have to be taking on the world in terms of scale, but how can you get more gross profit and net profit? Your scale might be, I want to have a better margin on gross profit and net profit. It doesn't mean to say that you want to grow the business exponentially. You might still do the same business, but you might have a better gross profit and net profit.
Yes. And, that's the one thing that I actually helped one of my roofers do this year. We did a lot of work together this year. We overhauled his accounting structures, his job costing systems, his cash flow, and kind of gave him a clear strategy that said, here's the number of jobs, here's the price you got to close them at, and here's the support systems you need to do things like knock loose your, cash value payments from the insurance company. Here's strategies to knock loose the depreciation payouts from your insurance company.
Yeah.
And he ended up making $100,000 less in revenue between 2024 and 2025, but he added $400,000 to his profit margins.
There you go. Oh, wow.
That's the kind of power that comes from having the right person reach you on that emotional level.
Well, that's the gold. So he's still using the same tools, the same equipment, and he's sweating the assets but more to generate a better margin within the business, doing the same business as what he done last year.
That's it. And we raised his margins by about 13 or 14%.
Wow.
His net margins.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. And especially in the day and age when the cost of materials is sky high. Cost of labor is sky high.
Yep.
Wow. Daniel, talk to me about the martial arts stuff. I don't want to go completely off topic, but it's boring.
No, you're good.
It's boring me here. Like, what the hell?
How do you make the transition, right?
How do you, I get the fact that you might have to. I thought you might be chasing money, and they might be saying, "Hey, you're the CFO. Go and get me that bloody check," because they're not paying us. Okay.
It's also nice when you get to show up and be the threatening bouncer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Here's Chuck Norris has just turned up at your door,
Yes, that's it. So the martial arts stuff has always been a passion of mine. It always meant something different to me throughout my life, and I'm really grateful that I get to be in a business now where we're changing lives. It's that simple. We're showing people how awesome they are, and you wouldn't think that you could completely change someone's image of themselves because they smashed through a board or they passed a rank test.
Mm-hmm.
But it's transformative, and it's really taught me that confidence is success remembered.
Yeah.
And when you can look back and say, no, I did this thing, there's no reason I can't do this next step. And the thing that I tell myself whenever I start, with that I can't talk or the I don't know that I can talk, I say, I step into a cage to fight people for fun. There is no reason this conversation, this action, this hard conversation with a team member, or being honest with myself about numbers should be scary.
And give me an analogy of where business and martial arts kind of complement each other.
Business, you only get results in business when you focus on the right little things every day and you stay consistent. And that can mean, hey, if your marketing strategy is a weekly email system, you show up every week for your email system and you have that discipline. Or you always follow the same protocol in the right order to make sure that you're giving your clients the same consistent experience, whether it's you or the new journeyman you've just hired show up to give to fix their problem, right?
Yeah.
And martial arts is that exact same way. You can't just walk in and go, well, I came to class this week. That's great. No, there's time you have to invest every day. It's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
You don't just go once and say, I'm fit and buff. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's a process that happens over years. And that growth is slow, but it's consistent, measurable, and can completely change your life in 6 months or less.
Hello, gaffers. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We love every one of the guests that we have, but in order to bring on more great guests, we'd love to build the channel with you. So hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and let's create a really great community where we bring in better and better guests for you to deliver great content and great pieces of information that you can take back into your business. Now, back to the podcast. Thank you.
I'm going to throw another angle on that, if you don't mind, Dan. And
please.
Thanks for sharing that, because that actually does resonate with me. So, personal story then. Would have done Shotokan karate as a kid.
Love Shotokan.
Yeah, and I found it really enjoyable. But because being a kid, you're doing soccer, you're doing all these other sports and whatever else. And one of them had to go because literally my mother was running out of fuel in the car.
Yeah. Yes.
So
yes.
Karate went by the wayside, but I picked it back up later on in life when I was in the early 20s and really enjoyed it. And I was working, it was a friend of mine had a black belt. So we used to go training, and we had a sensei in Dublin City, and he used to love just, training us, just the two of us in the mornings before we went to work. And what struck me was how easy it was as a kid and how harder it was picking it back up later on, so that all of the biases in your head had all developed and matured into your being. So your hand has to go this way, and your ankle needs to go, and your plant and your foot needs to go. Like, oh, la, la, la. And your mature mind is going against everything that you're being told to do what's right. Whereas when I was young, it was more, we weren't challenging the status quo of what you were being asked to do, and you were a lot more freer. And maybe just as a personal experience, but I actually can kind of connect that with business as well, is that we sometimes get entrenched.
Yes.
We get entrenched in who we are and rigid. And kind of like, no, this is the way look at this. Sorry, I'm turning over a couple of million a year. Like, I must be doing something right. Whereas
that's right.
Yeah.
They usually are, because not all businesses are out there making a couple million a year. But, even though you might be doing some things right, it doesn't mean that everything is going right. Because which would you rather have? Would you rather have a business that does $2 million a year in revenue and you keep $50,000 in profits at the end of the year? Or would you rather have $1 million business that in revenue that keeps $200,000 in profits every year?
100%.
It's about working right and working smarter.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And the one thing that I've started doing with my own business is trying to help people shift out of that "this is how it is" mindset, because that's the biggest obstacle that I come up against is, they have that exact mentality. I am doing something right. I am making a couple $1 million a year. So why does cash flow feel tight? Why is it that payroll's a stress every Friday? Why is it that you're afraid of what your tax bill is going to be, or you see money on paper, but you don't know where the rest of it went?
Correct.
And so that's a belief shift that has to happen somewhere in there to say, this isn't how it is. It can be better. You can make the same amount of money and keep an extra $400,000 for yourself at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You just got to have the right systems and the right frameworks and the right support people behind you.
Perfect. Well said. Well said. I'm going to throw a few curveballs at you because we're heading to that time of the show.
Bring them.
Bring them on. Favorite book and why?
Oh, that's a good. The one I've been reading lately has really hit something with me. It's a book called Range. I think it's by a guy named David Epstein. Not that set of Epsteins, but a different one.
Oh. Thanks for clarifying that, Daniel.
Yeah. Gotta, I'm here in the States, so we got to make sure we keep on brand, right?
Yeah. By the way, he's yours. He's not mine. He's not ours. Clarifying. We didn't produce that guy. Somebody did.
Right. I love the book Range because
Range.
It's a series of case studies about how having a really broad skill set and bringing things with you along the way through however many different incarnations always brings so many benefits.
Okay.
That's something that resonates with me because, I told you I was a chemistry teacher.
Yeah.
I ended up being a college professor, getting my PhD. And then I ran the nuclear waste programs for the federal government for about 4 years and still do that as a side hustle.
Okay. Why not?
Yeah, right? It's like, well, a lot of what I've learned about metrics, data, program management, all of that came from my nuclear career. And I bring that into the trades side of the world.
Brilliant. I love it.
The chemistry side teaches me how to read a big data set and tell the story from it.
Yeah.
And that's all your money is in business, is a giant data set with a story.
Yeah, it's an analytics.
And teaching.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, and teaching brings, you make hard things easy.
Yeah.
And when I'm seeing that everything I've done so far in my own career has really prepared me better to do what I'm doing now. I love the book Range.
So it's basically you've created your own ecosystem. Everything's feeding into the same language, into the same pot. It's just from a different perspective. I love it. Knowing what you know now, Daniel Bamper, what would you do different in life?
I'd trust myself a little bit more.
Okay.
A lot of times growing up, you'd hear things like, well, no, you don't do that. That didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So it won't work for you. I'm like, no, it will, but I have questions.
Yeah.
Why didn't it work for you? What did you learn? What was the big lesson? What did you do differently that made it work? Or what was the thing you knew that said it's time to call it quits?
Yeah.
And a lot of that does come down to trusting myself, because leaving a high 6-figure career to go start your own business because you're tired of dealing with management, it's terrifying, to be honest with you. And it takes a lot of trust in yourself.
Yeah, but you only have this one stab at it. You know what I mean? You're not going to be around for too long. That's it. In the overall calculations of things, it's not that big a risk.
No, it's not, and that's the way I look at it. I'm like, hey, if this thing goes under, it's going to cost me $75,000. That'll hurt for a year.
Yeah,
but it'll be okay.
We'll
figure something else out. We'll learn some lessons and reinvent it. Let's go.
That'll be your PhD in entrepreneurship.
That's it. And honestly, I probably can write a couple of those, but we're working on it.
I love the website, as I said to you before.
Thank you.
Coming back to it here, blackbeltledgers.com. Anything and everything got to do with a chief financial officer within your business. So, if you are out there and you got a successful business on paper, it may not be that successful when you do the figures in the right way, or have it managed in the right way, or it might be exceptional. How do you build on it and how do you scale it? Daniel, I really enjoyed the conversation. If people want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
There's a form they can fill out on my website, blackbeltledgers.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search Black Belt Ledgers and I'm the one that comes up.
Brilliant. Daniel, thank you very much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will be in touch in the future.
Perfect. Thanks, Gavin. It was great to meet you.
Take care, Daniel. All the best, buddy.
You too.
Bye-bye.